Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today we are diving into something that affects every conversation we have, whether we realize it or not, nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is the transfer of information from one person to another without the use of word or spoken language. Nonverbal communication can occur in variety of ways, including through facial expression, gestures, and body posture or position. In this video, we'll take a look at four types of nonverbal communication: kinesis, proximus, chronemics, and haptics. Have you ever felt uncomfortable when someone stood too close, or wonder why some people are always late? Let's dive into how these behaviors communicate more than words.
Ever had one of those mornings where everything goes wrong and you are racing against the clock? That panic of being late can tell us a lot about how time controls our lives. Whether we realize it or not, time plays a huge role in how we communicate, and that's what we call chronemics. Showing up late or on time sends a powerful message, but did you know that how we view time changes across cultures and even within our daily lives? Let's break it down. First up, monochronic cultures like the US, Germany, or Japan. Time here is treated like a currency. Every minute counts, and being on time is non negotiable. Meetings start right on schedule, deadlines are set in stone, and if you are late, it's like breaking an unwritten law. Now, let's switch gears to polychronic cultures. Here, it's less about the clock and more about the people. Time is flexible and relationships take center stage. If someone shows up late, no one bats an eye. It's all about the moment. Catching up with friends, building relationships. The meeting will start when everyone's ready. Now, let's have a look at some of the examples. The first one is punctuality. In many workplaces, showing up on time or even early can send a strong message. Like the US or Japan, being punctual isn't just about clock, it's about respect. Show up on time and you are seen as reliable and professional. Now, the second one is response time. Chronemics isn't just about when you arrive, it's also about how fast you respond. Ever been in a conversation and felt pressure to answer quickly? In some fast paced environments, especially in customer service, quick responses are crucial. Delays, even just a few seconds, can make people question your competence. And as we all know, when you start with it usually means you're not ready. Ever had someone give you a pat on the back after doing a great job? It's a simple gesture, but it speaks volumes. A quick touch can show support, encouragement, and connection, all without a single word. Now, what about this? A push, not so friendly, right? Touch can also be aggressive or negative, sending a completely different message. Same concept, totally different outcome. Welcome to the world of haptics, how touch plays a key role in communication. Whether it's a friendly pat, an encouraging handshake, or an angry push, our use of touch speaks louder than words. Now we have cultural differences in touch. The first one is high touch cultures. In some cultures, touch is an important way of expressing affection, warmth, and connection. These are known as high touch cultures, places where physical contact is frequent and often expected. Like we see here in the photograph, a hug, a kiss on the cheek, or even a simple touch on the arm, it's all about making others feel valued, loved, and close. In cultures like Latin America, Southern Europe, or the Middle East, touch is a way to show you care. But not everywhere is the same. In low touch cultures, like in many parts of Northern Europe or Asia, personal space is more respected and touch is used sparingly. For people in these cultures, too much physical contact, even from friends, can feel overwhelming or uncomfortable. Touch is more than just a physical act. It's a powerful form of communication. Let's explore the different types of touch from friendly gestures to more intense, even aggressive interactions. First, functional or professional touch. This type of touch is about function and necessity, like a handshake in a business setting or a doctor's examination. Next, social polite touch. Everyday interactions like a handshake or light touch during conversation, showing respect and friendliness. Third, we have friendship warmth touch, shows care and affection between friends, hugs, pats on the back, or a friendly nudge. Love or intimacy touch is reserved for close relationships, holding hands, gentle embraces, or a touch on the face expressing deep affection. Then the last one we have aggressive touch. This type of touch is used to assert dominance, control, or express anger, a shove, a forceful grab, or even a push. It's about power and aggression. Aggressive touch isn't about connection, it's about confrontation.
Many a times, the body begins to speak even before the speaker starts speaking. The way in which speaker stands, walks, moves hands, holds the manuscript is noticed by audience and gather impressions. As it is essential for a speaker to pay attention to the body movements, it is equally important for the audience to learn the messages body movements is trying to convey. This study of non-verbal behavior of our body movements is what kinesics all about. It includes the interpretation of the movements of particular body part or the body as a whole. It gives meaningful life outcomes such as whom I hire or promote, whom I want to be my friend, who is trying to ignore me, or who is more likely to ask me on a date. Huh? Isn't it? Each body part is an important element of our body language and communicates in its own way. Let's talk about these elements of kinesics one by one.
The first element is head. Head is the part of the body that communicates in different ways. For example, holding the head high marks honor, confidence, and self respect, while lowering of head indicates the feeling of politeness and modesty. Now, nodding communicates appreciation, understanding, interest, agreement, or confirmation. The next element is eyes. Eyes are frequently referred to as windows to the soul, since they are capable of revealing a great deal about what a person is feeling or thinking. For example, when a person looks directly into your eyes while having a conversation, it indicates that they are interested and paying attention. On the other hand, if a person is looking away, it indicates that the person is distracted, uncomfortable, or disinterested. Now, blinking is natural, but you should also pay attention whether a person is blinking too much or little. People blink more rapidly when they are feeling distressed or uncomfortable. Also, when you see a highly dilated eyes, it indicates desire. So it is true that our eyes can speak thousand words without saying a word. Moving on to the next element, face. Face is the most expressive part of the body. Whatever a person feels deep inside is reflected on his or her face. The lines of forehead, the muscles of cheeks, the eyebrows and lips communicate the feelings, thoughts and intention of a person very well. When one is perturbed, his or her face reflects a level of anxiety, stress. A smile can indicate approval or happiness. A frown can signal disapproval or unhappiness. Just think for a moment how much a person is able to convey with just a facial expression. The next element is posture. Posture refers to the way of standing, sitting, lying, and walking. Posture can convey a wealth of information about how a person is feeling, as well as hints about personality characteristics, such as whether a person is confident or open or submissive. As the name suggests, open posture involves open body language. That means palms facing upward, arms apart, chin up, or chest out. This type of relaxed, welcoming, open posture suggests confidence, or willingness, or friendliness, or power. On the flip side, close posture involves hunching forward and keeping the arms and legs crossed. This type of posture signals hostility, anxiety, or lack of interest in interacting. And in this photograph, both high power and low power is clearly visible. You can clearly see the difference between open posture and closed posture. Now, this is how a poor posture looks like, and people don't realize it while they are scrolling on their phones, or reading a book, or working at their desk. As a result, people end up having rounded shoulders or walking with their heads and necks down. But the good news is that most of the issues caused by poor postures are reversible with corrective postural exercise and positive attitude. Next, we have gestures. Gestures refers to the motion of hands or other body parts such as arms or legs to emphasize a point. For example, a clenched fist can indicate anger in some situations or solidarity in others. A thumbs up or down are often used as a gestures of approval or disapproval. The OK gesture. Do you know in some parts of Europe it implies you are nothing, whereas in some South American countries the symbol is actually a vulgar gesture. Similarly, the V sign means peace or victory in some countries, whereas in UK and Australia it takes offensive meanings when the back of the hand is facing outwards. Likewise, crossed arms might indicate that a person feels self protective or closed off. If you see a person standing with hands placed on hips, can possibly a sign of aggressiveness. If you see crossed legs, it indicates the person is feeling closed off or in need of privacy. Or if you catch a person rapidly tapping his fingers, know for yourself that he is being impatient or frustrated. Moving on to our last element, personal appearance. It includes a person's way of dressing style, hairstyle, wearing makeup, or wearing shoes. A person is judged on the basis of his or her clothes, his hairstyle, his personal hygiene, skin tone, and even body odor. Take a look at this man. Isn't he looking smart in this suit, tie, and polished shoes? His appearance is communicating that he believes in formal and well structured program. Whereas a person to his left in loose, casual, colorful dress communicates that he is quite informal and careless to many things. Hence, do take care of your personal appearance, your gestures, your posture, your facial expression, and other body movements while communicating, even digitally through use of emoticons, GIFs, or stickers. Space or distance plays an important role in the process of communication. The study of amount of distance that people are comfortable putting between themselves and others is referred to as proxemics. This space reflects the relationship, closeness, and the status between the speaker and listener. In case of informal relationship, the space will be less, but the space will be more in case of formal relationships. There are four categories of proxemic distance that people tend to keep. Let's break them down one by one. The first one is known as intimate space. It is the innermost circle. We only allow selected persons, such as family members and closest friends, within this space of 0 to 18 inches. This space is close enough to whisper in another's ears or smell that person's scent. The next one is called personal space. At this range of 18 inches to 4 feet, we are close but not that close. This space is known as friendly but not intimate. We can reach over and pat the other person's back. We are in this space when we are communicating privately with another person. The next one is called a social space. Casual acquaintance and most professional interaction remain within this 4 to 10 foot boundary. We can't touch at this distance, and it is a safe gap to conduct more formal exchanges. The small classroom setting is a good example of a 4 to 10 foot social space, where students are close enough to get to know to their teachers. The last one is called public space. Physical distance at this level is often used in public speaking, like talking in front of a class full of students or giving presentations at work. This type of space does not require eye contact or any personal contact. Please note that different cultures see personal space differently. The late Canadian psychologist Sidney Jourard conducted well known research called the Coffee Study in the Puerto Rico, France, and the UK and in the US. He watched people sitting in cafes and recorded the rate at which people touched each other in a 1 hour sitting. Puerto Rican touched 180 times, the French 110, the British nil, and the Americans touched twice. Before I end, you must be able to answer my question. In which category will you put social distancing into?